In this video, I'm going to be talking about the unfortunate situation that happened with Ryan Hinton, and then also what his father, Rodney Hinton Jr., did. And so I'm going to start off by showing you a video. I think I'm going to end up showing you 3 videos in total. So let me start off with the first one.
Police say they approached a stolen car in East Price Hill when 4 men got out and ran. Cincinnati police say Hinton Jr.'s son, 18-year-old Ryan Hinton, ran from officers. Although it's hard to see in this body camera footage, police say the young man had a gun and pointed it towards the officer. Chief Teresa Thigi says the officer told investigators he felt threatened, so he shot Hinton. Hinton did die at that scene. Police arrested 2 of the suspects the same day. They are 19-year-old D'Anthony Bullocks and 18-year-old Jarrell Austin. They are charged with obstruction and receiving stolen property. After a days-long search, Cincinnati police say they have now also arrested the final suspect in that case, 18-year-old Sincere Grigsby. He's charged with receiving stolen property and felony obstruction of official business.
So you see, according to that first video, they're stating that Ryan was with 3 other guys, and you seen their mugshot in that video, and they was going around robbing. And so they ended up stealing the vehicle, and that's how the police got involved. And I think one of the vehicles that they broke into had a pow pow in it. And so they ended up, I think, with 2 separate pow pows, and Ryan had one according to what they're stating. So there was 2, I think it was 2 police officers, the first one, and then the second one pulled up, and he the one who actually, you know, to Ryan. And so there, according to what they were saying, is that Ryan was running. Everyone got out and was running. And then as Ryan was running, he turned around and pointed a pow pow at the police, and that's when the police returned and fired. In that clip, you could see it's hard for, I don't know if maybe y'all saw it, but it was hard for me to see him with anything in his hand. So I'm not saying he did have something, and I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying in that clip, when they kind of freeze framed it on him, on Ryan, it was hard to see if he had anything in his hand. Maybe according to the rest of the video, or from another perspective, you can see that he had something. But they said that the father seen the video, and when he seen the video, he was distraught. So I'm going to show you a second video.
Intersection near the University of Cincinnati's campus has flowers and blue ribbons decorated in memory and in honor of Larry Henderson, a man who was simply working a detail directing traffic for the University of Cincinnati's graduation. He worked at a different agency, the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, than the police officer who shot Ryan Hinton. Larry Henderson had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to Ryan Hinton. On Monday, Ryan Hinton's family stood with their lawyers, distancing themselves from what Ryan's father is accused of doing, intentionally murdering Deputy Henderson.
We're here because we represent the estate of Ryan. We're not here to talk about the incident that occurred with the police officer. We do offer our condolences to the officer and his family, but we were hired to represent this family to investigate the police-involved shooting of their son, Ryan. This family is very upset about what occurred. We believe that this incident should be investigated. It's not as cut and dry as this officer should have just pulled out his gun and shot at Ryan. It's not that cut and dry. So that's why we're doing the records request. We're going to analyze frame by frame each one of these videos to determine why the officer made that deadly decision to shoot and kill Ryan.
Ryan Hinton's grandfather, the father of Rodney Hinton, also spoke.
I want to give a condolence out to the officers that got hurt, got killed, my whole family. I'm asking for forgiveness, and I've been praying hard for the officer that killed my grandson. I've been praying hard for him and his family, because I know he's hurting off this. As I seen in the video about my grandson, I seen 2 scared people. I seen the officer scared, and I see my grandson scared. So it's an unfortunate incident that happened. So that's all I seen. It was like I didn't see the police there trying to kill. No, what I seen was two persons made a mistake. My grandson made a mistake being there, and the officer he was trying to get back to his family too. So that's what I seen. So it's not about revenge or anything. That had nothing against nobody. You know, my Lord and Judge, my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ, and I represent Him. So, with that said, please, everybody, just try to forgive everybody who done anything to anybody.
Rodney Hinton Jr. appeared in court over the weekend following his arrest on an aggravated murder charge. A wall of Larry Henderson's colleagues surrounded him. Hinton muttered something about being gone forever. Hinton was moved to a jail in a neighboring county. He was back in court asking for bail, and things got heated in the gallery when his brother attempted to contact him by knocking on the courtroom glass.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat, sir. Sit down. That way. Have a seat. That's my brother.
Rodney Hinton was rushed out of the courtroom as his brother was escorted out of the gallery. Shortly thereafter, court resumed with.
Okay, so with Ryan's grandfather, which happened to be Rodney Hinton Jr.'s father, you see how they're trying to distance themselves. They have a representative for Ryan because they want more investigation done when it comes to that actual altercation between him and the police, Ryan, police officer, because according to what the grandfather's saying, his family is saying once they seen the video, they seen two scared people reacting off of fear. And so they want more investigation done. And so they're kind of separating themselves from what Rodney Hinton Jr. did because they don't, it's like what he did, he deleted an innocent person that had nothing to do with his son's situation. And then in that second video, you also seen where his brother was trying to get his attention. And I feel that his brother was doing that because the other part of the family was kind of separating themselves from him. And I think he more or less wanted to know that he do have somebody on his side. But, this is a very unfortunate situation with both sides because with Ryan, I seen another interview with his family and they were saying, they don't understand what happened, that he should not have even been there. So they was talking about him as, that he was like a good kid. And so that's why it's very important that you really pay attention to who your kids are around because even though he's 18, all of them are like 8, I think 4 of them, Ryan, including other 2, was 18, and then they have 119. Technically, they're still teenagers. Legally, they are adults, but technically, they are still teenagers. So that means their brain is still developing. They're still developing. They don't have a fully functional brain until I think around 25. So they're still thinking as a child, even though legally they're adults, they're making childish decisions that ended up with someone losing their life behind robbing and stealing. And so that's why it's very important. You might not be a bad person, but you got to think about the people that you're hanging around, people that you're being around, because if they jump off the cliff Are you going to go with them? Are you going to be strong enough to say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to be a part of that. Let me go home or let me go somewhere else. But no, if that's what y'all planning on doing tonight, no, I'm not down with it. Is at some point as a young adult, you have to have that mindset of, no, I'm not going to do this because it could end badly. You know, at some point you have to think that way. And so I'm going to show you the third video. The third video, I want you to really pay attention to how Rodney Hinton Jr. is acting. And then I come back and talk to you.
Hinton's lawyer asking for bail for him and entering a not guilty plea on his behalf.
Judge, I'm going to waive probable cause as a result of being acquainted with the case. I'm waiving probable cause.
Thank you so much. And is there a plea this morning?
There's a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
Plea of not guilty?
Yes.
Will you enter a plea of not guilty? And thank you. And as to bond, the state has requested a hearing on the issue of bond or bail. You may be aware of that.
I am aware of that.
Who would like to proceed?
I'm proceeding, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, a detective testified about what happened that day.
Tell me what he did after he stopped.
So based on witness statements as well as the video, the vehicle accelerated quickly, proceeded eastbound, crossed into the oncoming lanes of traffic when there was no longer traffic to obstruct his travel. Crossed into the oncoming lanes of traffic, went to the left of those little stanchions that are in the middle of the roadway, into the oncoming lanes, through the intersection, directly at where Deputy Henderson was standing, struck Deputy Henderson and the metal utility pole on the northeast corner of the intersection.
Okay. Were there any evidence of skid marks?
No, there were no indications at any point that he tried to brake, stop, or otherwise avoid Deputy Henderson.
And is that the conclusion that our accident reconstructionists have come to at this point?
At this time, yes.
Okay. And does it appear from your review of the video that he headed straight for Deputy Henderson?
Yes.
And did any of the multiple witnesses that you spoke to and the people that were in the vehicles that were surrounding him, the people that were on scene, did anyone indicate that any attempt to slow down or deviate his path straight to Deputy Henderson?
No, everybody said that he accelerated and was traveling at a high rate of speed all the way up until the time that he struck Deputy Henderson.
Okay. And when he struck Deputy Henderson, was the deputy injured?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened after he struck Deputy Henderson?
Deputy Henderson was launched several feet through the air. He came to rest in a turn lane several feet from where the collision occurred.
Rodney Hinton's defense attorney then questioned the detective.
Judge, first of all, I would like to offer on behalf of the Hinton family and myself, prayers to the Hinton family, prayers to the family of Larry Henderson, the fallen deputy, and I thank the court for having a fair assembly in the courtroom today. With that, I'd like to ask you a few questions, not a lot, okay? You said that Mr. Hinton left the police station around 12:30. CIS.
He initially left around 10:30.
Came back and then left again.
And then returned a couple hours later, yes.
And you said that individuals that know Mr. Hinton, his family members, were saying that he appeared to be agitated, upset, and so forth, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know the source of that agitation or that distraughtless, do you? If you know, you might not. I don't think you do, but you have to answer the question.
The source of the agitation?
Yes.
Well, I would assume it was because of I believe it was because of the video and the reason that he was at CIS.
Do you know the mental history of Mr. Hinton?
No, I do not know detailed mental history.
Right. Do you know whether or not he's had any medically documented infirmities or conditions. Do you know that? You don't, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay, so he ended up. So even though he was going to try to get bond, his bond, that was the bond hearing, and it ended up getting denied. So he did not get bond. He still have to remain in custody. I think, like I said, I can understand him being upset and frustrated as far as his 18-year-old son, what happened to him, and the way he ended up losing his life. But for him to go take an innocent life that had nothing to do with his son not being on this side of the earth, it's like that's a very tragic situation for, that's a very tragic situation for Deputy Larry Henderson. And then you also have to think about his family. He was a retired sheriff deputy. He was doing traffic detail at a college. They're graduating. He's not thinking about anything. He's not running behind anyone. And they're in the middle of pow pow going back and forth. He's standing on the corner directing traffic. And then his life got taken away from him for something that he had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with. And I think once Rodney calms down and really think about what he did, that is something that he's going to have to sit with for the rest of his life, because you're mad at one officer, but then you take it out on another. And I think once he calmed down, once he settled down, I think that's gonna be in his head for the rest of his life, that he doesn't have his son. Now he's locked away for taking an innocent person's life that had nothing to do with the situation that was going on with those four young men still in the vehicle. And his wife, his kids no longer have a father or husband. They no longer have that for absolutely nothing that he did wrong in this particular situation. And now that he's locked up, because that's why it's not good to be impulsive. Like I said, I understand he probably was frustrated. He hurt. I can't put I can't say exactly how this man feel, because I'm not that man. But at the same time, it is, it's like his action, he's not even going to be able to go to, well, let me say, may not be able to go to his son's funeral. I don't know if they would let him out with, police escort, but he may have to miss his own son's funeral. He did all this for his son, but he may have to end up missing his son's funeral. If he has other children, if Rodney has other children, he's no longer going to be part of their life. If he has a wife, she no longer has a husband. When it comes to this situation, I've seen other videos and I've seen other comments where a lot of people was cheering Rodney Hinton Jr. on as far as what he did. And they was like saying, yeah, eye for an eye. Yeah, this is what type of black man the white man is scared of. As black men, please listen to me. You have to be smarter than that. You have to be wiser than that, because if you think that's a win for him, you're sadly mistaken. It's actually a loss. Black men need to start thinking in a chess mode. You have to start thinking ahead when you play. I never played chess, but I understand that when you play chess, you have to think 3, 4, sometimes 5 moves ahead. You can't just think about what's in front of you. You have to think, if I make this move, then what's going to happen next? If I make this move, then what's next? They're going to counteract. This is you have to have that type of mentality and think. And let me explain why that's not a win for him. I don't know his total family dynamic, but just in general, not just Rodney, but just in general, as a man. Say you're a man and you have a wife and you have kids, and you do something that end up getting you locked up. Everyone else is cheering you on, saying, yeah, you showed the white man. Yeah, you did this, you did that. Yeah, you won. They scared of you, but where are you? You're locked up. Now you left your family uncovered. They don't have that man in their life. They don't have that man to protect them because he's locked up, or in some cases, he might be 6 feet under. So now you left your wife without a husband, without a covering. So now everything is on her. She has to deal with the loss of you, whether it's the loss of you being locked up or the loss of you being 6 feet under because you made a decision that didn't benefit the family. You made a decision that benefited your emotions at that moment. But now the family is uncovered. What's going to happen to the kids? You know, statistically, what happened to young men and young women when they're in a household where there's a single mother and a father. If they had a good family, that dynamic has been broken. So now you have you have a broken wife with broken kids because they no longer have their father in their life. So is that truly a win or is that a loss? Because now you have a family that has been destroyed. You have a family that doesn't have the patriarch there, the man there in the family to help guide, to help carry the family on. So when people sit back and say, yeah, that's why, they're not looking at the total picture. That you actually lost. That's not a win, that's a loss. Because they got you where they want you, in jail or dead. So therefore, you have to be smarter than that. Where do they not want you? Just like when during slavery time, the most dangerous black man wasn't a violent black man, it was an educated black man. So therefore, you have to be educated on the outside. Even though slavery free, your mind have to be free also. You can't be free physically and enslaved in your mind, reacting in a way that's going to jeopardize your family. Because you can't just think about yourself, you have to think about your lineage. You have to think about your family. So please, black men, don't get so excited when everybody else is hyping you up. Oh, you did this. Yeah, you showed them. That's them on the sideline. So I would like to thank you for watching this video. My name is Del Marche. Please like, share, and subscribe.